Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Billen-Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Furber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode. So, Martin, should we get on with the episode?
We will indeed, and we've got a very special stateside guest with us today, Denise.
We do. My old tutor, I say old very affectionately, Ilah Brock, who's joining us from California today. Hi, Isla.
Yes. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Isla,
Hi,
welcome to the program. As I was just saying, I'm in England, it's evening. Denise is on the East Coast, it's afternoon, and you're West, it's morning still.
Yep. Still drinking coffee. Still drinking my coffee.
So you fairly recently relocated to Central Valley,
Yes.
Right?
Central Valley, from Los Angeles, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all the post-pandemic.
Did that affect your business?
Mm-hmm. I actually had to, well, at first I wasn't going to let it. Okay. I started doing more Zoom. There weren't a lot of people wanting to see a hypnotherapist, so they were reluctant, and some would come in because they were sensing as the year progressed during the 2020. But I met a boy, and toward September of 2020, and it was just match made in heaven. Good. Anyway, he lives in the Central Valley of California. Now I'm in a little town called Visalia. It's about an hour south of Fresno, about an hour and a half north of Bakersfield. I'm in the county of Tulare, we're the county seat. Visalia and the Tulare area is one of the largest, if not the largest, producer for walnuts and almonds for the nation. It's all here, and a lot of vineyards. Now, because of water shortages, a lot of land is being eaten up by developments, which doesn't make sense, because if we're in a water shortage, why would they build more housing? It's like, but we're like a central hub to LA or to what do they call the valley up in the San Francisco area? That area,
the Bay, I think, but yeah.
Bay Area. There's another word for it, but I can't remember. But anyway,
Silicon Valley. No, that's further up.
So they're about 3 hours north of me, and LA is about 3 hours south of me. So I'm happily in the middle. That's where my children are, in LA. So that makes it kind of nice to, just a little happy medium. And it's a cute little town. And I wasn't sure if it was going to fly with hypnotherapy. So here it is, 2 years ago. I either had to go get a job or restart my business. And I decided to I was encouraged by my boyfriend. His name is Mike. We love Mike. Anyway, It was because of him I moved up here. I was kind of playing the gypsy there for a while. Business wasn't booming in LA like it had at the very beginning when I had finished my residency. Anyway, it was just a big cluster of things that were happening. I moved up here. I decided to go ahead and go for it, and I've been prospering very well. So
you have a weekly show, a radio show?
I have a weekly live podcast that I do, actually Thursdays. It's most things hypnosis. I don't even know what I'm talking about today. Probably about scope of practice. Well, probably more of what I gear it to today, just because that just seems to be coming
very, very dear to my heart, as you well know.
We don't usually know what we're talking about any week, do we, Denise? We don't.
We don't know. We do not know that of which we will speak. We do know about what we're speaking. We just don't know what's happening. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm thinking one of the things that I had to really get a hold of, and it made my practice easier, is just stay in your scope of practice, Isla. You don't have to go beyond scope. You don't have to go below your scope. So I might be including that a little bit in today's little segment. And then I have an appointment tonight. I'm busy all day today. I squeeze this in, like, I have time. Enough about that. But yeah, today's gonna be a fun, busy day.
Good, good.
Good.
Pleased to hear it. So,
And
Isla, tell me, are the majority of your clients male or female, or is it a pretty even split?
Well, it depends. Okay, so probably half and half between male and female.
Yeah.
And of the men, probably 25% are gay.
Okay.
I'm what I was complimented that I make a great gay hag. So the gay men love me. It's like that's their term, not mine. And it's great. And I don't know, it just I'm friendly, I guess, to that orientation, whatever you want to call it.
We can sense when we're welcome, you know.
Yeah, it's like great, and I don't, it's funny because that's not right. My background has always been to just be so judging. And then when I went to HMI, Hypnosis Motivation Institute, for some of you don't know what that is, in Tarzana, California. Anyway, they learned that I learned a lot about not being judgy. I was like taken aback when Denise met me. I had just been coming out of that whole judgmental. I mean, we all have a bias.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, it's unconscious. And then sometimes when you realize it, you can deal with it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, this is
what is your real background, Isla?
My real background, like
Yeah.
childhood-like background?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go into tremendous. Were
No,
you
no,
born
it
in
was
California, or
I
did
was
you grow
born
up?
and raised in the Los Angeles basin called Azusa, which is in the San Gabriel Valley. That's where I was raised. And then I lived in Texas from like age 12 to 15. And then from 15 to 18, I lived in northern Nevada in a little town out in the middle of nowhere, the absolute part, like think of Little House on the Prairie.
I was
and
just
it's
thinking
like
that.
that remote. It's a little town called Silver Springs. It's about an hour and a half south of Reno, about 40 miles east of Carson City, up in northern Nevada. So I was there until I was 18. So I came back to California, and I've been back ever since. And that's been 40 some years ish, whatever. But yeah, that was my background. But it's interesting how I learned a lot just becoming a therapist, having to just clear my own self.
Yeah, we do. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? We all have our own window on the world, our own frame of reference.
Right.
And even if you look at your frame of reference now, perhaps to when you were, say, 20 years old, your view of the world, how you viewed politics, how you viewed life, how you viewed authority, whatever, it will have changed, it will have moved. I mean, with some people it's a lot, with some people it's a little.
Oh, 5 years ago, my whole world, you would not have liked me very much. Well, I'll say 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Before you met me, because you met me pushing 6 years ago.
It was not a very pleasant person to be around.
How did you originally, because obviously we don't have time, because we don't really have time in a half-hour interview, but also you've got a client coming up, Martin's got a client coming up, so let's get us on the road. You had a professional career, or were you a student?
There's a couple things. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, but I was in property management. My ex-husband said that everybody learns things either from many different places or from one place. He's the kind of guy that learned all of his life lessons from working in the same place he's worked at for like 38 years now. And I've had many different jobs, but I taught for 20 years in Christian school. I am a sign language interpreter. I did that for a while, and I still do once in a while as needed. I still advocate for the deaf. I was attending law school when I found hypnotherapy. It was like I thought I would be a lawyer and just be the deaf person's lawyer. And that's what I thought my calling was. I love law. But after I found hypnotherapy, I went for the tour at HMI, signed on the dotted line that same day, called the law school the next day and said, I got a sabbatical for an undetermined amount of time. Have never looked back.
So where did your passion for working with deaf people come in, Isla?
It's interesting. It wasn't really a beginning passion. What had happened, I was in church, and the lady who was the interpreter at the time, she and her husband were moving, and there was one deaf girl, and it was a very large church. not huge, but a pretty decent congregation on a Sunday, about 1,000 people. And so, but there was one deaf girl in the whole church in the area, and then this lady would be her interpreter. So she offered a class to see if anybody would be interested in taking over her job interpreting for this little girl. So 14 of us took the class and 7 of us finished. It was just like a 12-week class thing. And I got hooked and like, you know what, this is pretty cool. So then I went to El Camino College in Torrance, California, which their interpreter training program is kind of what started interpreter training across the country back in the mid-70s. So I took the go to the best, right? And I started taking all the interpreting classes there. And there were a couple I didn't finish when I learned that to be certified, a certified deaf interpreter for the deaf, if you will. I didn't have to have the certification from college. Anybody can go and get certified.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to pass the test. So I took a bunch of classes. I probably have maybe 2 left if I wanted to go back. I never did take the certification because it does have a high failure rate. And I realized that it's American Sign Language. I don't sign American Sign Language. Most deaf don't. Anyway, I just became enamored by the idea that I can actually talk to the deaf. They can read my sign. I can communicate with them. And they love it. When I see someone who's deaf, I just walk up to them. Hi, my name is Isla, and I'm a sign language interpreter. How are you? That kind of thing. And they just love it. It's like, and so I'm jumping into their world, and because they're forced into ours.
Okay, so is that British Sign Language you're doing then?
No. Now there's a lot of similarity because American Sign Language did come from France. What we have is so there was a lot of borrowed signs.
Yeah,
and we can do a whole show on sign language. It's so interesting.
That would be great. But you said that most deaf people in America don't use American Sign Language. Is that because that's a static thing and it's just morphed like language in general?
American Sign Language is a foreign language. The syntaxes are all different. Just the grammar, all of it's different. But the deaf that I've come across, very few are actually ASL. A lot of them are what we call C-sign, signing exact English, or conceptually accurate signed English, or just a mixture of messy sign language. So long as you understand it all, it's fine. And sometimes it's like you can add words in that may not need to be there. And you become a walking thesaurus, because I did a lot of simultaneous interpreting over the years, which is my favorite kind of interpreting.
How does that affect your hypnosis? This is a hypnosis show.
Oh, this is great because
can you use it in your hypnosis?
No, this I have been dying to hear.
It's just like, oh my God, this is so great. So in in my practice, a lot of hypnotherapists use scripts to do for hypnosis. I hate scripts. I'll use a script, and I've got thousands of them, but I will never read them verbatim, because most of the people who write them, those are their words. But I can take a script that I've never read before, and this is where my sign language practicing, because I have to hear it,
and interpret it immediately,
put it on my finger, hear it, and it's a constant, right? So I have this ability that I think I developed because of that. Even today, the gal is testing. I came in for test anxiety. And we did a little a cognitive thing, and then I plugged it into hypnosis. But I wanted to do a little more than that. So I grabbed a script from a company, just like I had 20 minutes before she showed up. I never had a chance to read it. And I just kind of went for it, But I have the ability to read ahead while I'm talking, because that's kind of what I learned when I was doing my science. Like, so that gift, or that skill set, it's like I had that. I can change things on the spot. I'm recording it. They're laying in the recliner, and I'm just like getting ready to say something. And the one thing we have is the gift of hypnosis is time.
So I'm trying to visualize this now, Isla. The client obviously I'm guessing needs to keep their eyes open all the time then.
No, she's
well,
talking
deaf-
about using those techniques when she has a hearing person.
Oh,
If you had
yeah,
a deaf client, how would it? How
No,
would
the
it
deaf
affect them?
are afraid. The deaf are definitely afraid to come in. Not that, and I've offered free sessions to deaf. I want them to know that they can be hypnotized too. There's very little information, academic information, even on YouTube. You won't find a lot of people. You have to know sign language. But the thing with deaf, I've already got it in my head how it'll work if I ever do get a deaf person in. It's called tactical sign.
Yeah.
The deaf, like Helen Keller, she had tactical.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
everything she did was by sign. So I would set up with the client who is deaf. If they want their eyes closed, we would do tactical sign. We'd have to practice it. Or they can be hypnotized eyes open. They won't go as deep as somebody who is with their eyes closed or hearing, because a lot of it, but they can go into trance. It's just learning how to do it. And I would gladly give a deaf person free sessions,
Yeah.
just for me to practice with them and for them to know that they have the ability to enjoy this.
We'll put that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call me. My number's on the screen. Right there. Just give me a call. We'll do it over Zoom. No problem.
So, talking of which, do you have a lot of face-to-face clients now, or is most of your work on Zoom?
Most of my clients are face-to-face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Few. I haven't done a Zoom client in several months.
Really?
So
Reverse.
I offer it, but people like the in-person thing.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people between Fresno and Bakersfield and where I'm at. They don't mind the drive to come in.
This is it. There's no big deal in driving 30 or 40 miles over there, is there?
Oh no.
Not if you want to go anywhere.
It's funny because in Los Angeles, it takes an hour to go to Los Angeles from Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
I used to live 1 mile away from HMI, and it would sometimes take me 20 minutes to get to the school from where I lived.
Could have walked faster.
And pretty much. So here where I'm at, I realized, having lived in that forever, right? Now I'm here in this little town. It's got city. I'm a city girl. I can't give up my city. I have to have my city. But so I have enough city and enough country to just get that balance. But no matter where I'm at in my city, I'm no more than 15 minutes away from anywhere I need to be, even in traffic.
Oh, that's good.
Like this isn't traffic.
Yeah, I know what you mean about LA traffic. I remember when I was there and somebody said to me, "Hey, why don't you hire a car?" It was like, no.
It's crazy. The last time I was in LA was about a year ago, and it was I was on my way to Long Beach to go visit a friend, and we were now in West LA, right, almost downtown.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't. It's another hour and a half just to get to Long Beach, if I can get there in an hour and a half. And I had to be back. Yeah, it's crazy.
Although LA itself does have public transportation, it's a very rare Californian doesn't drive a car. Do you see a lot of driving clients or fear of driving clients?
Oh my gosh, yes, a lot of fear of driving. Yes, it's interesting you asked that. Last year, I noticed in about an 8-month period, there were about 7 or 8 men who contacted me, and I call it SODA, sudden onset driving anxiety. SODA, right? It was so weird because these men all had, and they don't know each other. They're all from different parts of the area, but it's almost like all of a sudden they have this driving anxiety. They've always been able to get up and just go. Now they can't even go to the hardware store. And it was just like it hit them suddenly. Every one of them hit them suddenly. And
Denise has done a lot of work lately with people with driving anxiety, haven't you, Denise?
Yeah, I have one lady who it's been a problem for her for 30 years, and it's sort of globalizing. So initially she didn't like driving on the highway, then she doesn't like driving people around. And then currently she came to me, her therapist referred her because it was globalizing and she didn't like being a passenger anymore, and she wasn't sure she would ever get on a plane again. So it was just, growing. But we're actually having a fair amount of success. The first person, it was a sudden fear of driving over bridges and a full-blown panic attack. And he doesn't know what it came from. He'd had a problem with it 20 years before, had it fixed, and suddenly it came back. So
No, I got you. I
So,
totally understand.
most of your outreach to the population is through your audio, through your podcast?
No, I don't get a
Or do
lot
you
of outreach on my podcast. I just keep doing it as a legacy to my kids. And if
Mhm.
somebody watches it, great. But
Mhm.
referrals are definitely one of that and just some social media, and then my SEO on my Facebook. But referrals are what's happening right now. I have a referral service that I've been using for years, and I hardly use them at all anymore.
Mhm.
It's like people are calling me up, so and so referred me, and I'm having people refer me that I've never met. They just see a social media post
Mhm.
and they go to my website and they check me out, and I get phone calls. So yeah, I am the #1 premier hypnotherapist in the Central Valley in
Good for you.
California.
Wow, all in
So
a couple of years.
in a couple of, well, not everybody, there's a lot of us out here, but not everybody's marketing themselves. So
Mhm. There's a lot
I'm-
there are a huge number of people that train as hypnotists and don't use it as a profession, which is fine
Yeah.
because it's a really useful skill. I teach all my clients to hypnotize themselves. I wouldn't want them to go hang a shingle and try and hypnotize the rest of the world, but the basic skills you're teaching your clients. And so if you
Yes,
want to take the big picture and use it for yourself, that's fine too.
So
You work 5 days a week, or do you separate?
I'm here. Well, like this weekend, I'll be here a little bit this week. I don't have any clients this weekend.
Mhm.
I think probably because of the holiday coming up. No,
Yeah.
usually I'll have clients on the weekends, but
You
none this
haven't
weekend.
had
All of
anybody
them
with fireworks fears or
no, nothing. Nuh-uh. It's like I think people who have firework fear are usually just hiding. I do have a client who blew his hand off with a firework a little over a year ago that I've
You
been
seeing for
seeing.
pain or for fear?
More, it's trying to get out of his own head. He keeps waking up every day thinking it was just a bad dream.
Yeah.
He's learning to accept where he's at
Mhm.
and such. And now it's like it's created a whole new set of issues, which, well, if you don't need to make any decisions on this issue, just put it aside for now. Let's just work on the ones you can change and work on.
Mhm.
And so that, I think, helped a lot. And my boyfriend made him one of those boxes. It's a mirror box.
Oh, right. So you see the other hand.
He has that phantom clench syndrome with his
Mhm.
hand, So I just put your hand in the mirror in the box. So one side has the mirror, so it sees the other hand,
Mhm.
and your brain thinks that it's because it's got the mirror, it thinks that that's your hand. And the idea is to help it. If you do it enough,
Right.
it will help it release the idea. So if you do have one, use it if it's causing problems, and it really can help that phantom stuff go away.
Yeah, we were
That's
talking
something
about excuse me, we were talking about phantom pain, weren't we, a few episodes
Mhm.
ago, Denise?
Yeah. And I'm learning about it, but there's amazing things that you get to learn in this, areas
Yeah.
that I would never have dreamed I'd be working in. I'm now working in hypnotherapy. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Now I'm doing it. It's like,
I mean, I said I'd
wow.
never see a smoker.
That's my #1 client. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the #1 reason why people.
What's the favorite
I'm
type of
sorry?
work you like to do, Isla? What's the favorite?
My favorite, I like work. I didn't think I would, but I do love working with people who want to quit smoking. And people who are in anxiety. I don't know what it is. I usually, when they're coming to me and they're not sure what they're anxious about, aside from some trauma, but it's like within a couple of sessions, they feel like $1,000,000. It's
Yeah.
like, what cataracts are right behind the
Yeah,
eyes.
of course, yeah.
Mhm.
So I kind of attributed my own little cataract of the brain. So hypnosis can help clear and laser off those cataracts. And all of a sudden you get to see where you didn't get to see before.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
it's
metaphor.
like,
I like that.
yeah. So it's what happened with me when I saw my hypnotherapist. It's like, whoa, what just happened? And that's like,
Right. You have your own. Did you want to talk about your own personal metamorphosis, courtesy of hypnosis? It's very similar to Martin's.
Oh yeah, I went and saw one. I was in a very bad place. I had acquired a condition called anosmia and agusmia, the inability to smell or taste.
And this is
because all my
pre-COVID, way
stuff-
before
yeah,
COVID.
7 years ago. Okay,
way
7
before
and
it was
years.
fashionable.
Yes, and so I had a fever, and it fried my olfactory nerves predominantly, and so I have like a 2% factor for smell and 0 factor for taste. But anyway, I was just in a really bad place, eating disorder, trying to figure out how to will myself into tasting again. I didn't know how much that would affect. I mean, 2 of the senses are gone now, and
Yeah.
anyway, I saw a hypnotherapist. I'm more for anxiety. I didn't tell him I had this condition, not for a while. Anyway, that first session was like, whoa, what is this? Now I'm in law school studying for what's called the baby bar, and that's my job. Property management study for the baby bar. That's all I'm doing. And all I can do is when I go to see Jake, we love Jake. When I go to see Jake, I'm just, what is this? How come it's working? I don't understand. Tell me more about the subconscious mind. Many emails during the week between sessions asking him. Finally, he's like, stop, go to the school I did and just go check it out. And so I did, and that's where it kind of all started for me. I'm like, whoa. So I was amazed at just, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
So it became a thing.
Oh yeah, there was no bigger cynic than me about this kind of thing until it worked for me, and that was it.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
I
amazing.
I would say I used to be very, very dismissive of such things.
It's the word hypnosis. It's just got a bad stigma.
Yeah.
And I use word trance a lot
because it's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, we all go into
Exactly.
trance all the time.
Oh, and environmental trance happens all the time. You
Yeah.
get in the zone, whatever, your book you're reading or the movie you're watching or the car you're driving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is how we can, we can be that engrossed in a book, and somebody will knock at the front door, and we'll jump out of our skin because we're that absorbed in what we're doing, we're that focused. Absolutely.
If you're really focused, you don't even hear them.
Yeah.
Just oblivious, whatever. That's kind of how I explain it. You're in a daydreamy state, just let it go, let it rip. Just be, all what do they call it? Just be let your mind wander.
Yeah.
And some people have that. One of the hardest challenges is helping somebody who has no visuality. They can't visualize.
Well,
but there's so many other ways of
to.
imagination working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, and I think they can. They just didn't realize it. One of the tests I give them when they say they can't is just close your eyes and count the windows in your house.
Yeah, that's similar to his. Was just imagine your front door.
I asked them to tell me about their front door and what color is it, where's the mailbox,
exactly,
that kind of thing. Exactly. And then I say, in whatever way you visualize, you just visualized it.
Exactly, that kind of thing. So that would that just they smile when they went, oh, it's like in order to see the windows.
Yeah, I call it the light.
You gave me a number.
It's like when you talk to people about their creativity. I don't have any creativity. Okay, well, talk about your imagination. I don't have any imagination. These are limiting beliefs, and we can help you with that too.
Exactly. Yes.
We are running out of time because both of you have to get organized for 2:00 appointments. So,
yeah.
All right. Do you have anything specific you would like to leave for our viewers and listeners that you would like to say? You don't worry about the how to reach you. That'll be in the show notes. They can find you that way.
I'm more into pursue your passion.
Yeah.
I reinvented myself after I was 50 years old. That was in 2014. I was 50, and so do the math, right? Whatever your passion is, and find your purpose in life. And how are you going to do that? Go see a hypnotherapist. Seriously, they will help you identify whatever your blocks are, resistance, but pursue your passion. It's And if you're retired, like my boyfriend's retired, he didn't pursue a passion in career. He's pursuing his passion in retirement, doing more of the things he loves to do. And so that, just do those things and then, supportive of it, or etc. I didn't know what my passion, I didn't do a lot of things when I was married and I was raising kids and all that. And, mostly it was church related and just everything was church.
Yeah.
And so, not that I'm against church folks or anything like that. Just got a little PTSD when it comes to them. It's like a spiritual PTSD, if you will. But pursue your passions and it's like I had to learn I can make decisions based on how they affect me and not others. It's not about me first. It's about me too.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. It's like I heard
I'm
that.
a people too. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
It's not about me.
You're right about the age thing as well, Isla. Obviously, from what you've just said, I've worked it out. I'm exactly the same age as you. And my light bulb moment when I changed careers was roughly the same time. I was a couple of years after you.
Reinventing and bloom where you're planted.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm planted in universe right now and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, in the California sunshine, you lucky thing.
Oh yeah, we got about 98, 100 degrees today.
We're about 60 over here in
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
nice.
No, not nice.
Well, I don't mind the pool.
No.
I have my AC at 78. I've got my little fan sitting here just keeping me cool, so I don't have to turn on my AC any cooler than it is. It's very expensive.
If anybody listening, it's highly unlikely anybody listening would be deaf, but if anybody listening has family members or anybody else, please call Isla or write to her, or however, communicate with Isla, because she would really love to work with the deaf community.
Yeah, and all Isla's contact details will be in the show notes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Go on
Isla.
back to your sunshine.
More of it, right? Take care, you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Okay.
Isla. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Bye-bye. We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.